Pantheon, Silk Wrap, Banishing Light, Crucifix's Insight, Sigil of the Empty Throne, Starfield Nyx, Frontier Siege.
Enchantments.
Mike
Sammartino is the opponent. Green-white Constellation is weapon of choice. He's starting things off with the Temple of Plenty, it appears. And both these players off to a great start here in Worcester. They are 5-0, and round number 6 about to be underway.
A lot of pressure on Smith's Dromoka's commands in this matchup because Green-White Constellations is very good at locking up the board if your clock is a little bit on the slow side. Typically, this deck has a great Game 1 matchup against Abzan Control, for example.
Temple of Malady. This is where Smith will begin. Top card going to go to the bottom. We are underway here in round number 6. There is a Herald of Pantheon. So we're getting it started right away. For Smith, it appears to be a Fleecemane Lion.
And these kind of threats just aren't very good against Green-White Constellations. It's fine for him to have it. He needs to get some pressure going, but if Sammartino is able to get his board developed uncontested, it's just not going to be worth very much.
Eidolon Blossoms is here. 2 triggers, 1 for card draw, 1 for Herald. So Sammartino up to 21. Here comes Fleecemane Lion. Herald of Pantheon, a nice addition to these Constellation decks. There's Anafenza. So Smith is just trying to get Sammartino dead as quickly as possible. And for Sammartino, well, he wants to definitely play a longer game. He can really clog things up.
Yep, and Eidolon of Blossoms alongside Herald of Pantheon, he's going to have a lot of action that he's drawing towards. Going to be gaining some life along the way. It's a good setup.
Blossoming Sands in hand, that's the gain land. But let's see what the follow-up's going to be. Looks like it's going to be a copy of Banishing Light. The engine is definitely online right now. Draw a card, gain a life. Play a Blossoming Sands, gain another life. Spells are on the cheap. Eidolon of Blossoms, and heck, even the Herald. Come on, into the red zone.
And I think if Smith had a copy of something like Dromoka's Command, we would have seen that on the 3rd turn. And now Dromoka's Command isn't worth very, very little.
Nyx Fleece Ram comes down at 1 mana, gonna gain a life and draw a card. This is the ideal start for Sammartino.
Very hard to beat this deck without a lot of removal.
Yeah.
Especially if you're attacking on the ground.
Trigger the Nyx Fleece Ram. Now Sammartino's in his first main phase. And his deck is moving and grooving right now. See where Mike wants to start now. Looks like he's going to go with a copy of Silk Wrap. Bunch of triggers. Smith will take a look. We'll do the same with Silk Wrap, as it doesn't see a lot of play just yet. It's very similar to Banishing Light. When it enters the battlefield, exile target creature with converted mana cost 3 or less, and opponent controls until Silk Wrap, leaves the battlefield. Now the follow-up is a Frontier Siege. Trigger. Yeah.
Smith is just getting clobbered right now.
Yeah.
Wasn't even like his draw was bad. He's got Den Protector and Abzan Charm left over after starting off on Fleecemane Lion and Anafenza. And this is where we're at right now.
Both decks are doing what I think they would want to do. Cons is the choice there of Frontier Siege. Not a huge surprise there. But Sammartino could use a little bit more mana to dump more enchantments on the battlefield, draw more cards, gain more life. There's a Temple of Plenty. You'll get a Scry trigger here. Top card down to the bottom. He'll pass the turn back over to Eric Smith. Smith does have that Abzan Charm in hand, as you did mention. Perhaps it's time to draw 2 cards, though I don't know exactly what he's looking for. Yeah, and I think you can see it on his face. He knows he's in some trouble. What draw gets me out of this? Hangerback Walker and Hero's Downfall. Those are both really good cards.
It's just like we watched the Blue-Red Sphinx's Tutelage. Okay, this is another lesson in how to beat Hangerback Walker, if that's what you're trying to do. Make the game about something else.
Sure.
And Sammartino is making this all about card advantage and big trumps, and Hangerback Walker is not meant for these kind of games.
Yeah, it's not like his creatures are large, but they don't need to be. He's just destroying the card advantage battle, and his life is slowly moving up. Everything going pretty well here for Mike. Now it's time to take a look at a bunch of cards. So, yeah. Yep, that's 2 Eidolon Blossoms. Thank you very much. Crewfix's insight. Here come the beatdowns. Oh, Hero's Downfall and Eidolon Blossoms.
Got him.
Yep.
Right back in it.
Gonna get some mana here from the Frontier Siege. I think you can play both Eidolons this turn. My goodness. This is a runaway. Of course, if Crewfix the draw. I guess Erik could deck him.
Plan B.
Yes, you know. It's always good to have a plan. Sigil of the Empty Thrones drawn. There's a land for the turn.
Okay.
Sammartino has 7 cards in hand. Your move.
Sorin.
My Sammartino's going to win game number 1 here over Erik Smith. Green-White Constellation drops the hammer on Abzan aggro in the first game, which means Erik Smith is going to need some help in the sideboard. So we'll take a look at 2 Elspeth Sun's Champion, 2 Self-Inflicted Wound, 2 Herald of Torments, 3 Tragic Arrogance, 3 Thoughtseize, 2 Duress, and an Ultimate Price.
So the discard spells and the ultimate price are pretty well suited for this matchup. I think the 2 copies of Self-Inflicted Wound will likely come in. And I like Herald of Torment in this matchup quite a bit. As you saw, Sammartino very well equipped to lock up the ground. Doesn't have a lot to interact with flyers, so I think both to make his deck a little bit more aggressive and to be able to beat boards like the one that Sammartino got going in game 1, Herald of Torment could be a big help.
Oh, what do we see on the other side of things here for Sammartino?
2 copies of Nissa Whirlwind, or 4 copies of Suspension Field, 4 Boonsater, 2 Tormod Script, 3 copies of Plummet. I don't mind, honestly, shuffling up the same 60. I think Nissas are okay, but not a lot to do here.
Don't think he needs to change too much?
Very, very little.
I mean, that game was as straightforward as possibly be.
Yeah, Boonsater is probably for speeding up the matchup when you need to do that. You know, matchups where something like Nyx Fleece Ram does very, very little. Plummet's Tormod Scripts, not really for this. Suspension Field, there's a little bit going on in Erik's deck, but probably not enough to justify bringing in a card that narrow. The Nissas are fine, could come in, but you see Sammartino, not a lot of sideboard here for the Abzan matchup, and you can see why. Game 1's naturally very good for him.
It seems like this is what his deck is. I don't want to say it's geared to beat, but it's definitely in a good spot here.
This is the major incentive, in my opinion, to play with Green-White Constellations, is your Abzan matchup is typically very good. They need to have pressure, discard, and Tremoka's commands to keep up with you, and that's asking a lot.
Well, these players will shuffle up here for game number 2. Sammartino is basically already. Erik Smith is going to sit here at the drawing board for quite a bit. But you see this matchup, and we can turn our attention to the next level library here with Patrick Chapin, where he could really explain to you in the deck building and the next level Magic how these decks are built and how to go about beating them.
Yeah, 2 great decks, next level Magic, focusing on gameplay, and next level deck building, focusing on building decks. Players, the books are for players of all ability levels. They're available on paperback and ebook right now at StarCityGames.com/nextlevel.
The Innovator.
Pro Tour champion.
2-time world runner-up.
Celebrated writer. Musician, game designer.
There's so many.
A man of many interests.
Jack of all trades. Patrick Chapin. StarCityGames.com/nextlevel. And my favorite Chapin articles, for what it's worth, during pre-release time.
He is thorough.
During
And he's very
pre-release
good at breaking down the context for cards. Because I think people get into this very narrow prism of viewing cards as good or bad. Chapin takes the much broader approach of what is this card good and bad against? What are the circumstances required to make this card good? I think that's a much more productive way to view cards.
Well, what's the point of pointing out all the negatives of a card, in my opinion? That's actually one of the things I like about when Chapin writes about cards is he's like, you know, not every card is going to be an A+, but some cards can be a C- and B+ depending on the format. And there's no point in looking at all the negatives of a card, you know, and comparing, you know, something. It's like when people compared War Leader Helix to Lightning Helix. It's like, why bother?
Right, they're different cards.
Yeah, what's the point? Yes, Lightning Helix is way better than War Leader's Helix. I think anyone who's played Magic at any level knows that.
Yep.
Let's talk about the things about why War Leader's Helix is a good card.
Yeah, I mean, Mana Drain's also better than Dissolve, right? But
yeah,
we can still talk about the Dissolve's merits without bringing up Mana Drain. I would hope.
We can, I promise. Erik Smith will be on the play here in what looks to be maybe not a great matchup. I mean, if Sammartino draws like that, it's definitely a bad matchup.
Well, the problem is that there's only so much removal in Smith's deck that can touch Eidolon of Blossoms. And even if he's able to kill that card, there are issues with just how does he generate enough pressure before Sammartino overwhelms him some other way. I think it's got to be a mixture of discard, Tremoka's command, a couple removal spells, and a clock. And that's just asking for a lot of pieces.
Smith is happy. He'll start off with a Temple of Silence. Take a look at the top card. It becomes the bottom card very quickly for Erik as we head to Sammartino with just a forest, and he'll pass the turn back over to Smith. Jamoka's command the draw there for Erik this turn.
Tragic Arrogance is another card that Smith can play for in this matchup. If the game drags out for a long time, it's a good way of catching up against Sammartino's board. The issue is that if Sammartino's doing his thing, often as a result of doing playing a bunch of cards, he's going to draw a bunch of cards.
Yep.
So he can often rebuild. But there's going to be spots where Tragic Arrogance is great for Smith.
I oftentimes think about that with Tragic Arrogance. You know, I feel like it's just going to be good a lot of the times in sideboarded games, just with how sideboarded games play out. Like, there is some setup required to make it truly great, but a lot of the time you're just going to have Tragic Arrogance be a pretty good card.
Yep. It's good in spots where sweepers are good, and it's occasionally good in spots where you're a little bit ahead. So it's very flexible.
And a Fenza to play here for Smith. Sammartino going to take a look at Anafenza and make sure that that text is all memorized. Nothing too bad happens. Here's 4 mana. There's a Frontier Siege. Cons is the choice, which means you'll get 2 green each main phase, both the first and second. That's the setup turn. Smith will play a Temple. Top card very quickly to the bottom. Smith does have Jamoka's command in hand. Frontier Siege might be scary enough to want to kill that.
The other side of that equation is Frontier Siege. It looks like Smith is just going to make the safe play and use it. With Tragic Arrogance in hand, Frontier Siege gives Sammartino a window to dump a lot of stuff on the table, and then your Tragic Arrogance gets better, but I can appreciate the safer play here from Smith. Don't get too fancy and just get that off the table.
It's a little scary what that card can spit out. Silk Wrap. Goodbye, Anafenza. And just pass the turn back. So this is a world difference in the last game.
Yep.
Sammartino was firing on all cylinders the entire time last game. Now he's struggling a little bit.
And it looks like Sammartino has brought in the suspension fields.
Slot removal.
Just try to overload on removal.
Another Silk Wrap. Here's a Temple of Plenty. Top card. We'll see where that goes for Sammartino. It's unclear. To the top. Pass it back. Smith will draw. Elspeth. Here's Obzon Charm. Somebody needs some cards at the expense of 2 life, of course. So Smith will go down to 14. Peel 2. Den Protectors 1. Caves of Koilos is 2. Caves is the land. Pass the turn back. Smith actually had to fall down to 13 because he had to pay a little bit of life from Llanowar Waste to be able to cast that Obzon Charm. There's Sigil of the Empty Throne. Well, there's your setup turn.
Though this might be a very good spot for Tragic Arrogance here.
That's fair. Here's Elspeth. Elspeth, a nice clean answer to those angel tokens, too.
I guess Smith's logic here is that the worst thing that Sammartino can really do this turn is just dump a bunch of enchantments on the table to make a bunch of angels, and then Tragic Arrogance gets that much better.
Yeah. It's still a pretty good turn. But tragic, I mean, it feels like, and we have seen this so many times this weekend and in Standard, it feels like it's all set up for Tragic Arrogance, right?
Yeah, now it's going to be,
yeah,
this one's going to be real good.
Yeah. Yikes. All these oddly Eldrazi angel tokens and quite a few other things I think are about to bite the dust.
You get to keep a Silk Wrap.
This is so nice of you. You're such a nice human. If I was Erik, I wouldn't be able to cast this fast enough. Kaboom! Erik gets to keep something. He gets to keep a soldier token.
It's close.
And Mike gets to keep something. Just not as much as Erik. That's all.
It's a tough turn for Sammartino.
Yeah. Tragic Arrogance is a really good Magic card. Now Elspeth will come back.
Very good against slow decks that put a bunch of permanents into play.
Yeah. And the question now is, can Sammartino rebuild? He'll start by putting a land off the top of his deck from Courser onto the battlefield, gain a life. Does have a lot of removal in hand, that's for sure. There's Screwfix's Insight. Top 6. Not great, just a Courser. The rest go to the graveyard. Vanishing Light on top of the deck. Screwfix's Insight is done resolving.
I think the games where Smith has Tragic Arrogance and the time to play it, and Sammartino does not have Eidolon Blossoms, it's going to be very hard for Sammartino to win.
Hard to argue.
If he had Eidolon Blossoms here, you know, he would have been working this whole time with a full hand of cards, and maybe he can rebuild post Tragic Arrogance, but you can see right now he just doesn't have enough resources to play with.
Well, what's next here for Erik? That's the question. Elspeth, that's going up. Den Protector in hand, Abzan Charm. Erik Smith's the one with all the resources. Just depends on how he wants to use them. He'll start by playing a Den Protector. May have almost flashed to Sammartino.
Pretty safe bet what that one is.
Yeah. It's crazy to think about how much Den Protector we've seen and how little Deathmiss Raptor.
It's true.
Cards virtually disappeared.
Deathmiss Raptor is not great in the Abzan mirror matches.
Yeah.
I mean,
No argument there.
Gets killed by Abzan Charm and validated by Elspeth.
Nothing too special about it. Screwfix's Insight again. Suspension Field, Banishing Light. That card tailor-made for a deck like this. Sammartino will play a Temple, top card, Forest, becoming the bottom card. Banishing Light on top of the deck. You can see that Sammartino has no lack of removal. It just doesn't line up well with Tragic Arrogance.
Yeah, it's removal, but it's removal that's especially vulnerable to Tragic Arrogance.
Yep. It's funny, this deck that Sammartino is playing can easily overload Jamoka's Command, make it look quite bad. And I think that's part of the reason we saw Erik Smith use Jamoka's Command on the Frontier Siege. It's because he almost has to cash it in any opportunity that he can. But there's not a lot that Sammartino can do about Tragic Arrogance. So I'm a little surprised to see Erik getting back Jamoka's Command here.
Has another Tragic Arrogance in hand.
Then that makes sense. Never mind.
So this sets him up for Tragic Arrogance and then kill the last permanent you have left, should Smith so want.
Above average turn. Top card goes to the bottom from Temple.
I don't think there's any reason for Smith to pull the trigger on his copy of Tragic Arrogance here.
Jamoka's Command.
Right now, Sammartino can't really beat the board, so no reason to sweep.
Yeah, I could see something as simple as +1/+1 and fight your Courser. Come in here for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 points of damage. As many Banishing Light effects as you do have, not really good at taking care of tokens. It's a bit of a weakness. Here come the beatdowns. Bunch of damage going to come through. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 4, 5, 6, 7, 9. Down to 5 is Sammartino. He'll draw another copy of Banishing Light, top card. That's one sub-teeth. Trigger the Courser, gain a life. After that is a Suspension Field.
I almost wonder if Sammartino cut the Eidolon Blossoms because he has...
Because he hasn't seen one?
He has looked at a lot of cards. I think he's resolved Screwfix's Insight twice in this game.
Yep. That's 12, that's 12 cards.
Had Courser going? I mean, that's a lot of looks.
Yeah. Like you, I am a little surprised. There is Courser. Smith have a way to get this over with this turn? Maybe? Abzan Charm. Erik wants 2 more cards. Just a couple of lands, nothing exciting there. 5 soldier tokens on the battlefield. Can add more because he does have an Elspeth in hand, though. Just letting out a little bit. Here come the beats. Put Sammartino down to 3. I think it's time for that second tragic arrogance, perhaps.
Or just Elspeth. Either's fine. Tragic arrogance probably feels more of a lock.
Yeah, seems pretty good. Sammartino going to sacrifice the Windswept Heath. Go down to 2, up to 4, because 2 course are on the battlefield. Get an idea of what his top card is, too. Potential to give away some information here, but tragic arrogance is going to resolve. Smith is going to get a lot of his toys back. And that might just be the story of the sideboarded games here.
Smith has a lot of copies in his board. And if the game goes on for a long time, I think a lot of it's also just a function of Sammartino not having Eidolon Blossoms. He can't keep up. It's just too much in terms of both raw card count and the setup that Sammartino needs with all of his moving parts.
Sammartino does have more spells to cast. He's going to play Kruph's Insights, and this is 6 more cards. We still have not seen Eidolon Blossoms. I would be shocked if he boarded them out.
I think, but how many cards is he looking at here without seeing a single copy?
Yeah. Silk Wrap, Sigil, bunch of cards brought back from Kruph's Insight. Top card's a Forest, trigger the Courser, gain a life.
I mean, I think Sammartino is near the end of his deck. When he picked up that Windswept Heath to shuffle, there was not a whole lot left, and he looked at 6 more cards after that.
Yeah. There's Banishing Light. Take care of Elspeth. Here comes Suspension Field. Take care of Anafenza. There's Silk Wrap. Take care of Den Protector. All right. Pass. Smith, another land. Beat downs. Block. Do you 3. Put you to 2. Follow up here for Erik. Speth. 3 more tokens. And kick it back. Sammartino will draw. Top card looks to be a Plains. Trigger the Courser up to 3. After that's a Sigil, I believe. Now I'm believing that Eidolon's gone.
And Sammartino might be able to hang around here. If he has Sigil and some follow-up here, you know, he's got to be able to beat Smith going wide. Not the easiest thing, but
He's also got to beat Elspeth going down.
Yep.
Because there's Starfield and Nyx. In your upkeep, you may return, as long as you have 5 or more enchantments, each other non-aura enchantment you control is a creature in addition to its other types and has base power to convert it. Wow, okay.
I mean, this... He can
attack with
Yeah,
this.
he can attack Elspeth this turn.
So Banishing Light's a 2/2. Suspension Fields are... Excuse me, Banishing Light's a 3/3. Suspension Field, Silk Wrap are 2/2s. Sigil's a creature. Yeah, that's a 5/5. Each other non-aura, so Starfield and Nyx doesn't count. Yep, I'd do that. I would read that.
Yeah, don't mess this one up.
Yep.
Because Sammartino's generating a huge advantage right now.
If Smith minuses Elspeth, he would kill Sigil, and he'd kill the Angel token. So minusing Elspeth isn't even that good?
But then he loses Elspeth next turn, potentially just to Angels and random attacks from enchantments.
Well, so if he minuses Elspeth, if he minuses Elspeth, he gets to kill the Angel and the Sigil. But if he pluses Elspeth, yeah, then he would lose it. So that's a concern. I think this is Den Protector. I think we get back this again.
Yeah, he's got to fire this one back off here.
Let's see which one he wants to let him keep. I want to talk about a weird game.
Yeah, I guess because now all of those enchantments are creatures, he can now select any enchantment to keep. Before, he has to select Courser because he wants to make the creature and the enchantment the same card.
Yep.
But now everything's a creature enchantment, so he can strand whatever.
All right, so now a bunch of stuff is cleared away again. That's a 3rd tragic arrogance of the game. Get in with a token. Now I don't know if Mike can come back.
And Smith ripped that Den Protector. Sammartino was almost right back in it. Wow.
That
was very impressive.
It's a lot more fight than I thought he had in him for Mike Sammartino. So Erik Smith's going to win game number 2 here over Mike Sammartino. Obzon Aggro, Green White Constellation. We might want to change the deck name to Obzon Tragic Arrogance here.
Yeah, it took the third copy to finally do it. And
yeah.
It looked like the first one was going to be too much to rebuild from. And the second one looked like Sammartino was definitely done. But if Smith didn't have the third one, I think Sammartino might have been able to get that turned around the following turn.
Well, these players are going to get ready here for game number 3. I am curious about Eidolon. It's weird, given how good it was game 1 for it to be out of the deck, but given how many cards Sammartino saw that game, I think you might be right.
So the thing is, when you're playing against all these copies of Tragic Arrogance, Sammartino needs staying power. To me, the card that stands out as being not great for the games now is Herald of the Pantheon. Not a whole lot of value in accelerating your stuff out when it could all be killed by Tragic Arrogance. And I think that any non-enchantment card is a pretty big cost for Sammartino to have in the deck because you have Krufix's Insight, you have Eidolon of Blossoms in theory. You want to be drawing as many enchantments as possible.
Well, these players will shuffle for game number 3. Mike Sammartino will be on the place, or perhaps he's changing his configuration as he is definitely going back to the drawing board longer this game than he did in the previous one. However, we will talk about our Season 3 Invitational Champion here on the Open Series, a player who is going to Roanoke, Virginia at the end of the year. It's Alex Bostecki. It's his token. It is finally here, and it is sweet as can be. He's a germ.
Yeah, awesome germ token, good with Battered Skull and whatever else floats around.
Hey, I'm a Flare Husk guy, man.
Flare Husk.
I'm also a Bone Horde guy, too. I was a big fan of that
Bone
card.
Horde?
But I was also not playing very much Magic during the Living Weapon days because Callblade was kind of lame.
Anyhow, variety of ways to get this token coming down the pipeline here. Anyone who registers for any of our 2-day $20,000 open series, like the one we're having right now in Worcester, will get this token, along with anyone who registers for our 5K Premier IQ, both the ones we have Sunday at our open series events and the ones that you can bring to your local store. On top of that, any order from StarCityGames.com, $5 or more, beginning October 2nd, noon Eastern, will come with this token.
Congratulations to our Season 3 Invitational Champion, Alex Bostecki, who we're going to see at the end of the year at the Players' Championship. Super happy for him. A very, very thrilling finals match between him and Steve Mann. You can't say Bostecki didn't earn it. Mulliganed so many times across those 5 games, but kept his composure, battled it out, and now he's going to battle for his share of $50,000 with 16 of the best players in the Open Series circuit.
Yeah, congratulations, and definitely an upset win in the finals there, but Alex played very well, kept himself composed during what was at many times a frustrating finals and was able to dig it out, beat Steve Mann in 5 games, and now he's heading to Roanoke at the end of the year.
From one Invitational champion to another, Erik Smith, the former Invitational champion 2 years ago in New Jersey, and actually top-aided that Invitational that Alex top-aided a couple weeks ago as well in New Jersey.
Erik from New Jersey also.
Yeah. So naturally, you're a fan.
Of course.
Erik Smith guy.
There's something about, being from New Jersey and playing the events there, it gives people secret powers. Craig Crumples, Legacy Open Series champion there. Came out of the woodwork, out of nowhere, won that event. My Open Series win several years ago.
Back in Edison.
Out of nowhere.
Yep.
Barely playing Magic.
Very true.
Erik Smith, great resume in the New Jersey Invitationals.
Yep. Gerard Fabiano. He's got an Invitational top 8 in New Jersey.
Mm-hmm. His only one.
Yep. He's a dealer.
He is a dealer.
He's here this week, and hopefully we'll get the chance to watch him play some Magic. Temple of Plenty is where Sammartino will start. Smith with the Temple of Silence, so he'll get to scry. We'll see where his top card goes. It'll stay on top, so we head back Mike's way. He'll take a draw step. A Blossoming Sands. Sammartino will gain a life. Now he's got Eidolon back in the deck because he's got one in his hand. Or maybe he just didn't draw one last game. Either way, we know it's here this time. Smith, leave that card on top. Back to Sammartino. It's a Herald. Is it a third land? Uh-oh. It is not. Temple here for Smith. No green mana yet here for Erik. Though he does have a copy of Windswept Heath in hand.
Yeah, just playing off curve for now as he's got some removal spells he can access here.
Self-inflicted wound's going to take care of the Herald of the Pantheon.
This is a fine third turn.
Yeah, no, perfectly reasonable, I think. Starfield makes the draw. Here's another Herald. Sammartino with the mana issues here. Llanowar Waste. Another Temple. That's all 4 Temple of Silences, Erik. No more of those. Top card goes to the bottom. Ultimate price. See you later. Force the draw here for Mike. Courser time? Potentially. It is. Top card. Temple. Pass it back. Maybe working his way out of mana issues. Jamoka's command the draw here for Erik Smith. But the thing that Smith doesn't have this game, no pressure.
No pressure, no copies of Tragic Arrogance in hand.
Yeah.
Got knobs on charge, Jamoka's command, some fine removal, some card drawing if he wants it. But no pressure and no copies of his best card.
Just going to pass the turn back now. So, Temple's a draw, top card, Crucifix's Insight. Sammartino will start with the Temple, 2 triggers, 1 Scry, 1 Courser. Next card, Blossoming Sands. Now this Constellation deck's getting rolling. Here comes Crucifix's Insight. So let's take a look at the top 6. Blossoming Sands is 1. There's a Banishing Light in there. And I believe now there are 2. So those will be added to the grip. Rest go to the graveyard. Top card from Courser is a Forest. Though Sammartino has already played his land for the turn, now here comes the Courser. Smith will sacrifice his Windswept Teeth. I imagine a Forest is on the way. Black and white mana is covered, so there's a basic Forest. Here's an Obzon Charm. Smith needs some cards. Sansep Citadel, Duress.
Duress is not bad here, but the fight soon might be over Eidolon of Blossoms, and I don't know if Smith can handle that card.
Another Obzon Charm. Erik wants some more cards, it appears, so he'll pay 2 life and draw 2 more. Anafenza, Den Protector. Now he's starting to get into the meat of his deck. Doesn't have Tragic Arrogance yet. We saw how potent that was. He'll cast a Duress instead. Take a look. At least 2 copies of Banishing Light. We know about the Eidolon of Blossoms. Sigil of the Empty Throne, a Silk Wrap, and a Starfield Nyx. Pretty good hand.
And potentially the most important card here in Eidolon of Blossoms, not something Erik can touch.
Very true. What to do if you're Erik Smith?
I think it's got to be one of the 5-man enchantments. Those are the most powerful things in Sammartino's deck if the game's going to go on for a long time. Starfield probably is the biggest long-term concern.
And almost stole Sammartino that last game.
But Sigil in the short term is going to be a big issue.
Well, he's going to leave Sigil in the hand. There's a Windswept Teeth. Smith will just pass the turn back. Force the draw, Silk Wrap on top of the deck. There's a Forest for Sammartino. He'll gain a life up to 21. Is it Sigil time? I'm going to start with attack with the Courser. Four mana. Looks like it's going to be the Eidolon. So a trigger. Draw the Silk Wrap Forest on top. That'll be it for Mike's turn. Smith will sacrifice that Windswept Teeth. See him go by a Thoughtseize and a Tragic Arrogance. Those are cards he definitely wants to draw.
Perhaps Sammartino moving a little bit too fast there. Played the land, then the Eidolon, then had a land on top.
Didn't get his free card.
Yep.
Jamoka's command. So there that goes.
But ultimate price, very good here for Erik. And now he's trying to chain together these nice turns of, you know, do something cheap that kills your play and do something pretty powerful and proactive with the rest of my mana.
Mm-hmm. There is ultimate price. Maybe it's time for Anafenza.
You can also play Den Protector and have the mana to unmegamorph this turn.
I get options here. However, one thing to note if you're Smith, your creatures are going to be dying for a little while here. There are banishing lights over there and silk wraps and things, so. Well, it's nice to start getting a creature on the battlefield. You're not, at least if I'm Erik, I'm not imagining them living very long. There's silk wrap.
I like what Erik did that turn. He was hoping to get Sammartino just to tap out for Sigil, and that way Erik could play Den Protector, get back the Dramoka's command, and use it. Sammartino wasn't falling for it, though, and elects to just play the Silk Wrap this turn, trying to set up Sigil in such a way where he at least gets to use it once.
Sigil plus a spell in the same
Yes,
turn.
he's not just throwing it out there.
Yep. Den Protector's going to unmorph, get back into rest. Take a look. Perhaps it's time to take that Sigil. 2 Banishing Lights and another copy of Silk Wrap over there, and Erik can't take Sigil fast enough. Get that out of here, thank you.
And now it's, no pressure versus no pressure, with Smith drawing towards Tragic Arrogance and Elspeth.
Not a bad spot to be in.
No.
Silk Wrap, numero dos. Tormod's crit.
A little late to the party. Would have been really good last turn.
Yeah. There's a land. Here's a Rhino. Good target for Banishing Light, of course. And back to Sammartino. Windswept Heath to draw.
Needs one of his sources of card advantage in a big way.
Yep.
Insight, Eidolon,
Something.
Starfield.
Starfield, yeah. There's a land past the turn back. Sammartino will sacrifice one, so we're a little bit of a draw go scenario here for both players. Both players with answers in hand. So both players with some very big draws available. Tragic Arrogance, the best draw here for Erik Smith. For Sammartino, Starfield, Krufix's Insight, both very good draws. Let's see what he finds for his draw step.
Eidolon of Blossoms would qualify.
Absolutely. Ding-a-ding. Time to draw. Pass the turn back over to Smith. Self-inflicted wound. There goes the Eidolon. Now Sammartino last turn drew a copy of Sigil. And just picked up a copy of Windswept Heath. You're curious if he wants to play Sigil or not. I think he would want to. And he will. Pass it back over to Smith. Smith will draw.
Yeah, tough not to cast it when your opponent's showing duress.
Yeah.
And Tragic Arrogance is going to be a tough sledding regardless.
There's nothing he can do, right? If he draws Tragic Arrogance, he draws Tragic Arrogance. There's a land. Smith electing not to cast Anafenza because he knows that Sammartino has Banishing Light in hand. Doesn't want to give him a target for his Sigil to trigger. See what Sammartino draws. Got a million enchantments in that deck after all.
Any proactive enchantment is incredible for Sammartino right now.
It might be better than that. No way. Did he miss? Okay, sort of.
Yep.
In a weird way, he kind of missed by hitting a Banishing Light.
Sort of,
Yeah,
right? I mean,
it's just sort of missing, kind of.
he can, Banishing Light his own Banishing Light, and then Banishing Light the thing that he unbanishing Light if he wants to start getting the clock into play.
If he loses his patience.
Yes. Well, with the Tragic Arrogance being a ticking time bomb here, it's not clear if Sammartino could just play draw go the entire time. Now, if he draws something like Courser or Krufix, that's great. Then you just play that, you get your token, now you're attacking. But in this spot here, it is dangerous for Sammartino to just play draw go for the whole game.
Yep.
So, and Smith is not going to cooperate.
Well, there is a Courser of Krufix. Here comes an Angel token. Top card of the deck is Herald of the Pantheon. Erik Smith considering sacrificing the Heath to thin out the deck a little bit, and he's going to, so he'll go down to 12. There's a Plains. Tragic Arrogance or bust almost?
We're getting there, I think.
Yeah.
I don't even think Elspeth's going to be good at this point. I mean, it might be, but probably not, is my guess.
Didn't get a great look at the draw. I think it may have been a Thoughtseize, which is yuck. Yeah, if you're Eric, you're not thrilled to cast this, but I kind of agree with you. I feel like you kind of almost have to. There goes the Banishing Light, going to leave him with 1. Here's an offensive with Dromoka's command at the ready. And this makes sense too, because then you get your opponent to cash in the Banishing Light.
Elspeth's good all of a sudden.
Yeah, you fight something, and then Tragic Arrogance becomes even better. So I 100% understand exactly why Erik played this card. There's Banishing Light. You'll get a response here from Smith, I believe. We'll see how Erik wants to respond, because we know he has Dromoka's command in his hand.
Yes.
Here is Dromoka's command. +1/+1, potentially unfight the Angel token, or it could be sacrifice an enchantment. Either way, exile target non-land permanent in opponent control. So you can't do a Banishing Light loop on your own stuff. That's key here.
Okay.
And we've also seen weird things with, when Banishing Light enters the battlefield, if you remove all of your targets, they have to target their own thing. But again, exile target non-land permanent in opponent control. So that used to happen with stuff like Oblivion Ring.
Yep.
But they were sure to change the wording on cards like that.
Yeah, it's one of those reasons that things like non-land appears on Disperse. If this is happening, it's probably for bad reasons.
Yeah. Gonna give him a Den Protector back. So now Banishing Light's just hanging out. Here comes Courser. Smith will fall down to 8. It's still Tragic Arrogance or bust here. There's Herald of the Pantheon. Pass the turn back. Smith? I think with a Den Protector.
No good, though.
Nope. Tormod's Crypt, excuse me, making things tough. Pass the turn back. Plains is the draw here for Sammartino. What's the next card? Banishing Light. Trigger the Courser. Up to 16 goes Mike. Time for beatdowns.
I like getting in with everything.
Yeah.
Well, if you attack with just the Courser and the Angel,
Double
then
block.
Smith can double block. And then if he draws a removal spell for the Angel, maybe you're playing on.
Mm-hmm. Smith gonna unmorph the Den Protector. He's got to hope, right? What choice does he have? Yeah, see you later. Sammartino right on top of it. Not going to happen. See how Smith wants to block right now. That's that. Through all of this, if Tragic Arrogance is found by Erik Smith, we got a brand new game.
He just completely flips it around.
There are your blocks.
Double chump block. Smith knows what he's playing towards. This is the,
And if he finds Elspeth this turn, he'll get another turn. How did he do? Not going to do it. Mike Sammartino is going to win this match here over Erik Smith. 2-1. Green-White Constellation will take care of Abzan aggro. And for Sammartino, might be time for a little bit of fun in the sideboard with this innovative deck.
Well, Green-White Constellations is a deck known for its quality match against Abzan. We saw Erik do a lot of damage there with Tragic Arrogance in the second game. But even after the second game, Smith resolved 3 copies of the card. Sammartino never had Idle Island Blossoms, was one of the best ways for him to cushion himself against sweepers like that. And Erik needed the 3rd copy. Yep. It wasn't like Sammartino was just beat off the 1st or 2nd one. So a very impressive display of Sammartino's deck in that matchup. Game 3, with Smith not having Tragic Arrogance, the rest of his tools just aren't very good for the matchup.